A Connecticut Yankee in King Arthur's Court by Mark Twain, Chapter 15, Sandy's Tale. "And so I'm proprietor of some knights," said I, as we rode off. "Who would ever have supposed that I should live to list up assets of that sort? I shan't know what to do with them unless I raffle them off. How many of them are there, Sandy?"
"7, if you please, sir, and their squires."
"It's a good haul. Who are they? Where do they hang out?"
"Where do they hang out?"
"Yes, where do they live?"
"Ah, I understand thee not. That I will tell eftsoons."
Then she said musingly and softly, turning the words daintily over her tongue,
"Hang they out, hang they out. Where hang? Where do they hang out? Right so. Where do they hang out? Of a truth that phrase hath a fair and winsome grace, and is prettily worded withal. I will repeat it anon and anon in mine idleness, whereby I may peradventure learn it. Where do they hang out? Even so, already it falleth trippingly from my tongue, and forasmuch as—
"Don't forget the cowboys, Sandy."
Cowboys?
"Yes, the knights, you know. You were going to tell me about them a while back, you remember, figuratively speaking, the game's called."
Game?
Yes, 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 go to the bat. I mean, get to work on your statistics, and don't burn so much kindling getting your fire started. Tell me about the knights."
I will, well and lightly will begin. So they two departed, and rode into a great forest, and—
"Great Scott! You see, I recognized my mistake at once. I had set her works a-going. It was my own fault. She would be 30 days getting down to those facts. And she generally began without a preface, and finished without a result. If you interrupted her, she would either go right along without noticing, or answer with a couple of words and go back and say the sentence once again. So interruptions only did harm. And yet I had to interrupt, and interrupt pretty frequently too, in order to save my life. A person would die if he let her monotony drip on him right along all day. "Great Scott!" I said in my distress. She went right back and began over again.
So they two departed, and rode into a great forest, and—
"Which two?"
Sir Gawain and Sir Uwaine. And so they came to an abbey of monks, and there were well lodged. So on the morn they heard their masses in the abbey, and so they rode forth till they came to a great forest. Then was Sir Gawain ware in a valley by a turret of 12 fair damsels and 2 knights armed on great horses, and the damsels went to and fro by a tree. And then was Sir Gawain ware how there hung a white shield on that tree, and ever as the damsels came by it, they spit upon it, and some threw mire upon the shield.
Now, if I hadn't seen the like myself in this country, Sandy, I wouldn't believe it. But I've seen it, and can just see those creatures now, parading before that shield and acting like that. The women here do certainly act like all possessed, yes, and I mean your best, too, society's very choicest brands. The humblest hello girl among 10,000 miles of wire could teach gentleness, patience, modesty, manners to the highest duchess in Arthur's land."
Hello, girl?
"Yes, but don't ask me to explain. It's a new kind of girl. They don't have them here. One often speaks sharply to them when they are not the least in fault, and he can't get over feeling sorry for it and ashamed of himself in 1,300 years. It's such a shabby, mean conduct, and so unprovoked. The fact is, no gentleman ever does it, though I myself, if I've got to confess."
"Peradventure she—"
"Never mind her. Never mind her. I tell you, I couldn't ever explain her so you would understand."
"Ever so it be, sith ye are so minded." Then Sir Gawain and Sir Uwaine went and saluted them, and asked them why they did that despite to the shield. "Sirs," said the damsels, "we shall tell you. There is a knight in this country that owneth this white shield, and he is a passing good man of his hands, but he hath all ladies and gentlewomen, and therefore we do all despise to the shield." "I will say you," said Sir Gawain, "beseech evil a good knight to despite all ladies and gentlewomen, and peradventure, though he hate you, he hath some cause, and peradventure he loveth in some other place, ladies and gentlewomen, and to be loved again, and he such a man of prowess as ye speak of. Man of prowess, yes, that is the man to please them, Sandy. Man of brains, that is the thing they never think of. Tom Sayers, John Heenan, John L. Sullivan. Pity that you could be here. You would have your legs under the round table, and a Sir in front of your names, within the 24 hours, and you could bring about a new distribution of the married princesses and duchesses of the court in another 24. The fact is, it is just a sort of polished-up court of Comanches, and there isn't a squaw in it who doesn't stand rightly at the dropping of a hat to desert to the buck with the biggest string of scalps on his belt. And he be such a man of prowess as ye speak of, said Sir Gawaine.
Now, what is his name, sir? Sir, they say? His name is Marhaus, the king's son of Ireland. Son of the king of Ireland, you mean? The other form doesn't mean anything. And look out and hold on tight now. We must jump this gully. There. We are all right now. This horse belongs to the circus. He is born before his time.
I know him well, said Sir Uwaine. He is passing good night as any in on live.
On live? If you've got a fault in the world, Sandy, it is that you are a shade too archaic. But it isn't any matter.
For I saw him once, proved at a justs, where many knights were gathered, and that time there might no man withstand him. As, said Sir Gawaine, damsels, methinketh ye are to blame. For it is to suppose that he hung that shield there, will not be long therefrom, and then may those knights match him on horseback. And that is more your worship than thus. For I will abide no longer to see a knight's shield dishonoured. And therewith Sir Uwaine and Sir Gawaine departed a little from them. And then were they aware Sir Marhaus came riding on a great horse straight toward them. And when the 12 damsels saw Sir Marhaus, they fled into the turret, where they were wild, so that some of them fell by the way. Then the one of the knights of the tower dressed his shield, and said on high, Sir Marhaus, defend thee. And so they ran together. That the knight brake his spear on Marhaus, and Sir Marhaus smote him so hard that he brake his neck with the horse's back. Well, that is just the trouble about this state of things. It ruins so many horses. That saw the other knight of the turret, and dressed him toward Marhaus. And they went so eagerly together that the knight of the turret was soon smitten down, horse and man, stark dead. Another horse gone! I tell you, it is a custom that ought to be broken up. I don't see how people with any feeling can applaud and support it. So these two knights came together with great random. I saw that I had been asleep and missed a chapter, but I didn't say anything. I judged that the Irish knight was in trouble with the visitors by this time, and this turned out to be the case. That Sir Uwaine smote Sir Marhaus with his spear brast in pieces on the shield, and Sir Marhaus smote him so sore that horse and man he bare to the earth, and hurt Sir Uwaine on the left side. The truth is, Alisande, the archaics are a little too simple. The vocabulary is too limited, and so by consequence descriptions suffer in a matter of variety. They run too much to level Sirahs of fact, and not enough of picturesque detail. This throws about them a certain air of monotonous. In fact, the fights are all alike. A couple of people come together with great random. Random is a good word, and so is Exeus, for that matter, and so is Holocaust and defalcation.
and usufruct, and 100 others, but land. A body ought to discriminate. They came together with great random, and a spear is brast, and one party break his shield, and the other goes down, horse and man, over his horse-tail, and break his neck, and then the next candidate comes randoming in, and brast his spear. The other man brast his shield, and down he goes, horse and man, over his horse-tail, and break his neck. And then there's another elected, and another, and still another, till the material is all used up. And when you come to figure up results, you can't tell one fight from another, nor who whipped, and as a picture of living, raging, roaring battle, shoo, why it's pale and noiseless, just ghosts scuffling in a fog. Dear me, what would this barren vocabulary get out of the mightiest spectacle? The burning of Rome in Nero's time, for instance. Why would it merrily say, town burned down, no insurance, boy brast a window, fireman break his neck? Why, that ain't a picture. It was a good deal of a lecture, I thought, but it didn't disturb Sandy. Didn't turn a feather. Her steam soared steadily up again, the minute I took off the lid. Then Sir Marhaus turned his horse and rode toward Gawain with his spear, and when Sir Gawain saw that, he dressed his shield, and they averted their spears, and they came together with all the might of their horses, that either knight smote other so hard in the midst of their shields, but Sir Gawain... Whoops, it was supposed to be Sandy's voice. And you know what? Let's pause and we'll do that again on the next record.